What's up, you guys? I'm going to talk about the vision I have associated with the being I talked about in my other video named N. See, whenever I interact with N, we don't necessarily talk. I don't simulate conversation in my mind with N. Sometimes I simulate conversations in my mind, but with N, it's more like I go on a journey that's just so sensational and so emotional, and then I have like dilemmas, and I have like thoughts, reflective thoughts about the journey, and I'm able to revisit the journey. I'm able to revisit that vision, and learn more from it. And so essentially the vision of N oh man okay, imagine yourself floating above the earth and you can see the whole earth. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump back in time. We're going to go back in time to when the earth was first formed, when it actually took its form and entered what's called the settling phase. Now, there were phases before the settling phase, but we're going to start with the settling phase. And this is after the earth has basically taken like, a form, a shape, a solid shape, continues to kind of shift here and there, you know what I mean, more or less. But it during the settling phases, the idea is that during the beginning of settling phase, there's a lot of activity, and then towards the end of the settling phase, there is less activity. And so the earth is essentially calming down, and its form is like shaping itself to reach like something akin to the concept of a final form. The idea is that during the settling phase, the earth is shifting into a form which is most adequate to facilitate life and life's possibilities. So, and that goes along with the whole universalist mindset, which is the universalist mindset N was before the universalist mindset, but N is a universalist. And so he believes that the entire cosmos manifests and becomes in such a way that it increases its ability to facilitate life. The whole goal of the cosmos is to facilitate life, so as the cosmos progresses, it continues to adapt and generate more possibilities for life, and manifests possibilities of life. So it's shaping itself and to be adequate for the possibility of life. Anyway, sorry to kind of go on there for a minute. So we view the earth in the settling phase during the beginning of the settling phase. And what happens gradually during the settling phase is, well, let's say as we're viewing the earth, we're going through time, we're going forward through time now, and every once in a while, the earth like experiences this big event. It's like a global cataclysmic level event, and the earth shifts. And when it shifts internally and externally. The whole thing just moves. Imagine someone sleeping at night, and during the night they move their body, they roll to their other side, and they move around a little bit to try and get more comfortable. That's essentially what the earth is doing during this massive cataclysmic shift. But what happens when that occurs is these energy discharges occur, and so energy is sent out into the cosmos, and it spirals and swirls and kind of collects and gathers into a big ring, okay, a massive ring, and And so you continue watching the progression of the Earth, and you continue to notice that every once in a while, the Earth goes through another one of these shifts, and another ring is created. And so after a while, you start to notice that the Earth, during its settling phase, has created a whole volume of these rings, these energetic discharges that collect and gather into a ring. And as you begin focusing more on the rings themselves, you begin to draw an empathic sense off of them. And you tap into that empathic sense, and suddenly you're able to, it's almost like suddenly you open a book and you select a ring. It's like selecting a chapter, and you can see all the events that occurred from the time of that ring on. Or you can look in between two rings and you can see all the histories that occurred on the Earth, all the things that occurred within the Earth, everything, anything you would want to know about, anything that occurred in the Earth or on the Earth is stored within these rings. And so the whole idea with magic and whatnot, sorcery, whatever you want to call it, related within is he allows you to tap into this history of the Earth. Now, there's levels. The first kind of initiatory phase is the Earth. And then you have, beyond that, you have the Lesser Celestium and then the Greater Celestium. And the Lesser Celestium, you view all the stars, the suns, planets as for the most part individual, but then you also have the ability to view the joining of those individuals into lesser celestial organizations like solar systems. And then once you enter the Greater Celestium, you recognize beyond solar systems, you recognize beyond the individual, and you recognize whole entire galaxies, galactic clusters and whatnot. So it's like this journey through an understanding of the bodies which exist in the cosmos and how they're connected with one another and form organizations. So that's pretty much the vision of N, and what it's related to. I mentioned N in one of my other videos, so I wanted to make a video kind of just for N. Just a couple more details about N. I think I might have said this earlier in my video. I don't know if I did, but to me, N is like who Jesus Christ was and what Jesus Christ was doing before Jesus Christ actually became a human being. And something else to understand is, and I gotta we're gonna just mention this really briefly. I'm gonna have to do a separate video possibly, but with Lucifer, N is related to the concept of Lucifer that is not related to Venus. And I know a lot of people say, well, Lucifer is Venus. And then people say Jesus Christ is Lucifer because Jesus Christ is the morning star. There's certain Luciferian ideals that are related to cosmology. And that's where I'm always going to lead. That's where I'm always going to lead you. I'm always going to lead you to the cosmos. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that N is very much related to Jesus Christ and Lucifer. But anyway,